If you talk to yourself in your head all day, it's not a sign you're crazy. In fact, it usually means your brain is doing 3 powerful things at once. But if you don't understand it, that same gift can quietly turn against you. You're washing dishes, walking down the street, trying to fall asleep, and your mind is running a full commentary. You replay old conversations line by line, argue both sides of imaginary debates, narrate your own actions. Okay, now I'll do this. Then I'll say that, and practice what you're going to say tomorrow. Sometimes you even crack a joke in your head and laugh silently with yourself. Feels like there's always a voice in your head talking to you. You notice how other people seem able to just be too switch off and stare out the window while your brain keeps chattering from the moment you wake up to the second you finally pass out. And every so often, you wonder, is this normal? Why do I talk to myself in my head all day? Does this mean something's wrong with me? If that sounds uncomfortably familiar, what I'm about to tell you about your inner voice is something most people like you never get to hear. And it can completely change how you see this weird habit. At some point, you start to worry about what it means. Joke. I live in my head too much, or I overthink everything. But beneath the joke is a serious question. Is this okay? Maybe people in your life tell you, just stop overthinking, get out of your head, be more present. As if your mind is a faulty radio, you should just switch off. You compare yourself to people who seem to glide through the day on autopilot. You feel like you're carrying an extra layer of brain running on top of everything. The self-talk can get harsh. Why can't I just relax? Why is there always a voice commenting on everything I do? Am I broken? Am I the only one who lives like this? From the outside, it looks like just thinking. On the inside, it can feel like being trapped in a room with your own voice that never stops. Most people like you stop here and label themselves as crazy or too much. But that's only because no one has ever explained what this constant inner talking actually says about your kind of mind. What most people don't tell you is that a mind that talks to itself all day is often not a broken mind, it's a high awareness mind. In psychology, there's a word for this: metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. You don't just move through life on autopilot. A part of you is constantly watching, commenting, questioning, replaying. That inner voice is the same mechanism that lets you reflect on what happened, learn from mistakes, and rehearse different futures before you choose one. In other words, you just have experiences, you also have a built-in narrator trying to make sense of them. People with this kind of active inner dialogue often have richer inner worlds, stronger self-awareness, more ability to simulate what-if scenarios than those whose minds stay mostly quiet. To understand this better, imagine your inner voice is doing 3 different jobs at once. First, it's a commentator. This is the metacognition piece, your brain watching itself think. It's the part that says, why did I say that? Next time I'll handle it differently, or that felt off. What was that about? It's like having a quiet analyst in the control room reviewing the tape so you can adjust. That's not madness. That's how self-aware brains learn. Second, it's a storyteller. Humans don't just store random events. We turn them into a story about who we are. Your inner narrator connects the dots. Of course I reacted that way, because I'm the kind of person who... It gives your life continuity, themes, meaning. The fact that you hear this narration more loudly than others often means your narrative self is very active. Care about who you are and how your life fits together. Third, your inner voice is a rehearsal room. You run conversations before they happen. Imagine different outcomes. Practice what you'll say. Replay what you wish you'd said. Psychologists call this mental simulation. It lets you test out futures without paying the price in real life, which can make you more prepared, more empathic, and more careful about your choices. Most people just mash all of this together and call it overthinking. But underneath that word is a mind that comments, tells stories, and runs simulations at a higher volume than average. The real issue isn't that you talk to yourself, it's how that voice talks to you. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. The same inner voice that can guide you can also turn into an inner bully. On good days, it sounds like that was awkward, but now you know what to try next time. Or, you handled that better than last year? It's curious, specific, focused on learning. On bad days, it flips. You're an idiot. You always mess things up. Of course they don't like you. The commentary, the storytelling, the simulations are still happening, but now they're all being used as weapons against you. From the outside, both versions look like I talk to myself too much. On the inside, one is a guide, the other is a critic with a megaphone. The real shift begins when you start asking, is my inner voice mostly helping me grow or mostly punishing me? When you see it like this, your story stops being "I'm crazy. My brain won't shut up" and starts sounding more like the truth. You have a high awareness, narrative mind that refuses to sleepwalk through life. You don't just do things, you watch, question, replay, and rehearse them. That extra layer can make you more reflective, more prepared, more empathic, and more able to grow than someone whose mind stays mostly silent. The goal isn't to get rid of your inner voice to change its job description. Instead of "you're useless," you start nudging it toward "that hurt, but here's what you learned." Instead of using simulations only to imagine disaster, you let yourself also rehearse neutral or even good outcomes. You'll still talk to yourself in your head all day, but more as a coach, less as a bully. If this felt like someone just narrated your inner world out loud, you're not alone and you're not too much. Subscribe and stay close if you want more videos that explain minds like yours without shaming them. And tell me in the comments what your inner voice talks about the most, because in the next videos, we're going even deeper into overthinking, inner critics, and how to live with a rich inner world in a world that barely talks about it.